verse 14. Okay. 72 वரைக்கும் பார்த்தோம். आतपी मंडली मृत्यु पिंगल सर्वतापनः कविर्विश्वो महातेजाः रक्तः सर्वभवोद्भवः. ओम आतपिने नमः, ओम मंडलिने नमः, ओम मृत्यवे नमः, ओम पिंगलाय नमः, ओम सर्वतापनाय नमः, ओम कवये नमः, ओम विश्वस्मै नमः, ओम महातेजसे नमः, ओम रक्ताय नमः, ओम सर्वभवोद्भवाय नमः. So we saw till 72. Sarvatapanaya namaha. Kavaye namaha. Kavi is a word in Sanskritam, means the wise one who knows it all. Ganana tva ganapatikum havamahe kavin kavinam upamashravastamam. Kavin kavinam. Amongst all Kavi, he is the greatest Kavi. Mahakavi. So Mahakavina, Kavina, நமக்கு தெரிஞ்ச the word meaning that we know of Kavi is a poet. Because in Hindi also, the poetry is called as Kavita. And because of one who composes a poetry is known as a Kavi. That is how we're familiar with the word Kavi that way. But Kavi in the Vedic literature or in Sanskrit, the way it's also used is Kavihi, Munihi. In fact, if you go and look at the dictionary, Kavihi word, the equivalent meaning is Munihi. Munihi, the one who is who sees everything, who's understood everything, and also in a way, Kavi is also somebody who, by Kavita, you're also meaning Rachana. Rachana means to be able to create. So Kavi is also somebody who can create. Create what? Create his own world. Create his own environment. Create his own life. Create his own destiny. So one who's also a creator of his own self is also known as Kavi. Creator na, at the end of the day, what is Vedanta pointing out to say? That Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman, which means I have the potential in me. I have the infinite potential in me to create worlds I want. Vishwamitra created a Trishanku, Swargam. He created a Swarga for Raja Trishanku. From where? Out of thin air, he just created. Because he had the potential. The potential is there within us to create. So Kavihi is one who knows it all, omniscient, one who knows it all. But also, if you connect it to the meaning that we understand it as a poet or a rachanakar or a creator of something, creative work, doing creative work, Rachana means to create. So Kavi is a person who creates something. What does he create? He creates these things. He has the potential to create, which means he has an understanding that the whole world, Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari Tulyam Nijantargatam. From my inside, everything is getting created. Like how a spider spins off a web, lives in the web. In Mundaka Upanishad, it describes the spider spinning off a web from its own saliva, living in the web, and then consuming the whole thing back. In the same way, this is what we do. We create. The thing is that we don't have the understanding that we are creating our lives. I am creating my life. I am creating my destiny. I am creating incidents coming to me in my life. Whether I'm poor or rich, it's a condition that I have created for myself. There is this book. There's a small book I remember on what is this? On rich, think rich or something like that. Something equal to this Who Moved My Cheese. You heard of these books? Who Moved My Cheese? There's a small books that are usually more like motivating books. There's one of the books I remember.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
That one, correct. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
So in this, it talks about how you perceive richness. How do you see richness? If you're wanting to be rich, if you're wanting to have sufficient uh, uh, comfort, luxury, you have to operate in a certain way. You have to think in a certain way for it to materialize, right? You'll actually see a lot of people who are not necessarily financially rich, but they carry themselves in a way when you look at them, it'll seem as though they are sufficiently uh, financially strong. It'll appear that way because they carry themselves. And you will also notice for such people, though something from somewhere will just come in time for them to manage their financial commitments and all that. So which means you express and you manifest. You essentially manifest what you are wanting to have happen. So when you say kavihi, that is the potential that is there within us. So kavaye namaha. I am a kavi. I am a I'm kavi. Kavi nam upamashravastamam jeshtarajam brahmanaspata anashranvannoti visida sadhanam. So that Maha Ganapati, who is the all-knowing, is also known as this all-knowing Kavihi, um, because it's that same principle that is operating within me, through which I can create um, my own destiny, my own life, my own future, whatever. The next from now on, how I want to be. In fact, a lot of times I also tell this, and I've tried to do this from very young. I say I want to think right now how I will be at the age of 70, 75, 80, and then work towards it from now onwards. We do that for everything, right? In everything we want in life, we plan and do, but we never actually plan how to live in old age upfront. We usually think we will do it when we get there. Or at the most, the planning that we do is probably financial planning. Survival, planning for survival is what we do. But our emotional energy, our spiritual, that planning, we don't start early on. Right? So when we start building this from early on, when we think that how I want to be when I am, whatever age, that is kavihi. That's the potential that we have, that we can project and create this kind of a life or a universe or an environment that we want to be in. So Om Kavaye Namaha. So this is a prostration to Surya Bhagavan. Om Vishwasmai Namaha. So he is the whole universe is his body. There's a reference here given to the first nama in Lalita Sahasranama. Vishwasmai Namaha. Vishwam Vishnurvashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Bhuta Krit Bhuta Pridbhavo Bhutatma Bhuta Bhavana. Bhuta Bhuta Bhuta. Vishwam Vishwam Vishwam. Vishwam Bhuta. Vishwam is what? The universe. Bhuta. So Vishwam, if you consider, you can consider it as the insentient universe. Bhutam is the sentient universe of living beings. Vishwam Vishnur Vashatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Bhuta Krit Bhuta Pridbhavo Bhutatma Bhuta Bhavana. So Bhuta is also the Panchamahabhutas. Bhuta also means the past. Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. He is the Lord of all the three times. Bhutakala, Bhavishyakala, Bhavakala. Bhava means the present time. He is the Lord of all the three. So he is the the same person who's this Narayana, Surya Narayana. He's Vishwasmai Namaha. He's Vishwasmaina. He is the whole universe is his being, which means he is present everywhere. See, the sun may not appear at night, but it is because of his energy that we are able to live on this planet. All sentient beings are able to live because of the energy of the sun, which means whatever energy of the sun enables life, that life is able to live even at night, even if you look at day and night, the life that is generated because of the sun continues to exist because of the sun. Right? Even nocturnal beings, for that matter, they don't come out during the sunlight, but what they feed upon, what they eat and what they consume and what they feed upon are things that grow because of the sun. They're nourished because of the sun. So the Surya Bhagavan is all pervading. There is another beautiful way the word Vishnu is also broken. Vishwam Anu iti Vishnuho. Vishwam Anu, Anu na particle. Assume the smallest particle. The smallest particle, let this principle is existing. Which principle? Vishnungra principle is existing in all the particles of the universe. Smallest particle, that intelligence is there. Whether it is sentient or insentient, that intelligence is present. So there may be a question, does rock அதுல கடவுள் இருக்காரா? மரத்துல கடவுள் இருக்காரா? I can understand if there's God. If you tell me there is God in human beings, I can maybe logically I can understand, because I see consciousness thriving. Then you take me to the next level. If you tell me there is God in all living beings, animals, insect, worm, I still understand, because there is movement. I see movement, there is consciousness. Then you take it to the next level of grossness, the next level of gross. You tell me that God is in all trees and plants. Then I think a little bit and I say, maybe yes, because it grows. Even if it doesn't move, it grows. Then you take it to the next level and tell God is in all minerals, rock, metal. Then we start wondering how do we perceive that? Because it doesn't reverberate life. See, the difference between plant, animal, humans, and the non-living things like metal, rock, minerals. The difference is that these three, the plant, animal, and the human kingdom, you can see it reverberates with life. You can see a leaf turning green, beautiful. You can see that there is some form of life that's there. But in other things like non-living beings or non-insentient things, objects, we don't see that happening. But now we take it a step in a different direction. The same metal, you make a Panchaloka and you install him in the temple. Like Guru Ayyappan is such a small deity, and he becomes so powerful. The same rock you take, you cut him out and you put her as Kamachi Devi in Kanchipuram. She sits there like the Empress, Maharagni, Srimat Simhasaneshwari. She sits so grand and Ade rock. Then you take the wood. You take wood and you go and you see in Puri Jagannath, people throng in millions there to see the wooden deities. Attivardharan wood, correct. Ama. Atti Marathilende. So,
அந்த இந்த எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொன்னேன் இல்லையா, அதுவும் அந்த அனோரணியான் மகத்தோ மஹியான், அதுவும் லைக் in the smallest of the small.
Correct. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. So that principle is existing in the smallest and in that which is the largest, which means to say it is Vishwamanu, which means it is there in everything. Right? That principle. So how does this thing transform? The same metal, if it were lying out there, it doesn't reverberate. But in Guru Ayyappan temple, the same metal is reverberating. There is a philosophy called Arambhavada, or Satkarmavada, Satkaryavada. These are some philosophies in Sankhya, terms used in Sankhya philosophy and certain other Nyaya philosophies of the Shad Darshanas. What it says is, if something doesn't have something inherently, then so something cannot come out of nothing. Basically, that's the idea. So it means to say, if curd is there, milk is there, two different things. But curd cannot come from milk if the possibility of curd is not there in the milk. It's already there in the milk. The possibility is already there. You just run it through a process and you get curd. So this philosophy says that. So in the same way, if the same metal or the same rock, which didn't have anything, but when you're installing that rock into the temple, it suddenly reverberates with so much of energy, in fact, that you believe that that is God and you fall at its feet. Oh, beach la poi okkarrache or kallu, we don't go and fall at the feet of a rock. Right? You climb a hill, you don't keep falling at the feet of the rock. You don't. In fact, you climb over the rock. You climb on the rock. You don't have any feeling, right? But the same rock now suddenly becomes Kanchi Kamachi. Will you climb on it? Adhe rock da. Think about it. It's the same rock that is now transformed into something like this. But now you propitiate it and you hold her so high that that rock has been installed for how many? Maybe 1,000 years. And it's still reverberating with that energy. So what is happening there is insentience also has the potential for divinity, which means, coming back to the story of Vishwamanu, Vishwamanu means that principle is existing in everything. It is existing in everything. You just have to tap the potential. See, if I'm able to tap the potential, like for instance, with mantras, I'm able to tap the potential in the rock and make the rock, we do the whole process of what is called as consecration. Right? Prana pratishtha. Consecration is the process that we do to enliven the rock. It goes through a mandala. So much of chanting, so much of energy transfer happens to the rock. Now the rock starts reverberating with energy. Right? Now that, is it possible if the rock didn't have the potential to reverberate? It had the potential. Which is why Sthapati kittallam poi paathelna, proper Sthapati ella, if you ask them to go make me ஒரு சிவலிங்கம் கொண்டு வான்னு கேட்டா கூட, even if you tell them get a சிவலிங்கா, they will go and அந்த பரிசீலனம் பண்ணுவா, they will go and inspect that material. They have an understanding. This is something that they learned traditionally. They learn that can it reverberate, can prana pratishtha happen, can it reverberate properly, அப்படின்னு சொல்லி they will inspect every stone, every metal. That inspection they do so that they know, okay, this will reverberate with the energy. So which means you feed it, it will be able to exude it. So Vishwam Anu, Vishwasmai Namaha, which means he is there in every, he or she or it, that is there in every particle that is around us. And you can literally transform any material. Some materials are more receptive than others. If you, for instance, why not build a plastic goddess? You can build a plastic goddess, but it doesn't have that quality of reverberation as much as a rock does or a metal does. In fact, plastic can live much longer. Unfortunately, plastic can live much longer, but we don't use plastic for that, right? Because it doesn't reverberate. It may take it, and probably there's a lot of tamasic tendency that the plastic has, that it may just absorb it and keep it, may not reverberate it out. We need something that I give you, you give me back. Otherwise, what use is Kamachi sitting there for? அங்க போய் if I don't feel that னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, அந்த எனர்ஜி அந்த aura அந்த இடத்துல if I don't feel in that presence, then Kamachi is of no value. It's just a rock. There is value because she is reverberating that energy, that mantra power that has been transmitted into her. And then suddenly she becomes Maharagni, she becomes that empress, right? So important thing is every object within in our lives that we want to, like for example, we may have a linga, we may have a meru, we may have whatever these metals at home, materials at home that we consecrate, we can empower it, because at a certain point in time it will give you back. You can go and sit in its presence quite ஒண்ணுமே பண்ண நீங்க வந்து you can try this experiment every day. If you take Lalita Sahasranama or you take any Shiva mantra or any Narayana, this thing, take that small idol and chant every day. Do it possibly as a sadhana for a year. You do that. It's a small, it may be a small piece of construction of metal or wood or stone or whatever, and you do that. After a year, you just keep it open and you sit in its presence. You will feel some reverberation. You will feel some energy being transmitted. Right? But the problem is, the same thing happens to us also. When we chant, we do all of these things, we also reverberate at a certain frequency. The only problem is those objects, we keep it in the Garbhagraha and we don't expose it to any other forms of reverberation, any negative emotions, thoughts, we don't expose it. Puja pannittu puja areya moodiduvom so that it's retained. But what happens to us? We get exposed to all negativities. So again we have to do. So we have the possibility to reverberate with the same frequency as, say, Akhilandeshwari standing in Jambukeshwara. He can reverberate if there's sufficient mantras that have gone in. But the other problem we have is we also reverberate with negativities. So there is always this offset that's happening, which is why we go to temples, we expose ourselves to that energy so that we absorb of that. We absorb from that and it helps us to keep, building upon that. So Vishwasmai Namaha, Maha Tejase Namaha, infinite splendor. Maha Tejase Namaha. He is bright. We know Surya Bhagavan is bright, and which also means that one who prays the Surya Bhagavan, Karna for instance was known to be splendorous. He was the son of Surya Bhagavan, right? And everybody will notice him. Wherever he goes, he'll become so noticeable. Not because he was wearing a Kavacha Kundala, just by his aura, he'll be resplendent. And this we spoke about yesterday also during Saundarya Lahari. That is the power of sadhana, tapas. You do tapas, you do sadhana, you can invoke the inner Agni, the inner Surya, and you can, it will show. It will show as this resplendent, and it's not for anybody else. See, remember this. We are not suddenly under now I want to be like a torch. Ellarkum light adikira mari illa. I'm not trying to see, these are the things we are not looking to become that. What we're saying is, if we do this with the right intention, that will happen. And so it is like, it's an indication, like how Arjuna asked, Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha. What is the definition of one who is a Sthita Prajna? How does he look? How does he walk? Appadinu kekarche, then Krishna says, this is how he'll appear, this is how he'll walk, this is how he'll move. In the same way, when you're saying somebody who does sadhana will exude this energy, the focus is not, am I exuding energy? The focus is to do sadhana. Right? Exuding energy will happen on its own. It's just when you see somebody, we get motivated. Appa, enna oru tejas irukku. Okay, I should also build that. And then you focus on sadhana. Right? And then whichever way it takes us, it takes us. Now, if you look at Ramana Maharshi, just on a simple glance, if you look at him in YouTube, you'll not feel a thing. But there is one video of his, you get a chance to look at it. He's lying down and He's lying down like this in the Buddha pose, and he's just watching. அது அவரால மட்டும்தான் முடியும் அது. You see that இந்த வீடியோ பாத்தீங்கன்னா இப்படி பார்த்துட்டே இருக்காரு அவரு. I'm sure there is a video camera standing there, guys standing there, there are people there, but all he is doing is just watching. நம்மளால முடியுமா? எத்தனையோ பேர் பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கிறது இப்படியே சும்மா பார்த்துட்டே இருக்கிறதுக்கு அப்படியே. So that and when you go in his presence, you will feel that resplendence, that splendor. And the video itself is meditative. அந்த வீடியோ மட்டும் அப்படியே அவரோட கண்ணை பார்த்துட்டே இருந்தோம்னா, you know that you're looking into divinity, you're looking into that void, that expanse, you're looking into that, and then you'll feel that splendor. Somehow you'll feel that there is not human being, there's no human being sitting there. You're just light, you become pure light. So when you become pure light, then for others you will appear resplendent. Your others, they will think that வர்ச்சே இன்னொரு தேஜஸ் தெரியறது, ஒரு களை வருது, ஒரு இது வருது அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஃபீலிங் வரும். Because inside you've dissolved the personality and you've just become light. Light both in terms of feeling light and also you're not of any material. Raktaya namaha. So that is Mahatejase namaha. Raktaya namaha. The one who sustains and makes all happy. Rakta also means desire. And also it is fulfilling your desire. So he fulfills all desires. Vanchitartha pradayini. Then he is Sarva Bhavodbhava. Sarva Bhavodbhavaya namaha. Sarva Bhava Udbhava. Udbhava is the origination, the creation. Udbhava. Lingodbhava. In some Shivalayas, Shiva temple, you will see when you go around on you go towards the south in Pradakshina. First you come towards the west, you will see you come this side, you turn around the usual Pradakshina, you will see Dakshina Murti, and then you go behind, right behind the Garbhagriha, you will have a Lingodbhava. Sila kovillalam paakalam. That you will see the image appears like a linga, and then from inside the linga there is a Shiva who's coming out. It's called Lingodbhava. And that story is also the one that in Tiruvannamalai they talk about that story where Vishnu and Brahma, they were fighting to say who's the greatest. And Shiva appeared as a light. And he appeared as a Linga Swarupa from the center to say that neither of you are great. Right? So that story is there. And it's said that Tiruvannamalai and the Mala and that story is there. So this Lingodbhava is the or Udbhava is to rise from Chidagnikunda Sambhuta Devakarya Samudhyata Udyadbhanu Sahasrabha Chaturbahu. Udyat word also means to rise. Udyadbhanu Sahasrabha. Lalita Sahasranamla varadu. Srimata Shri Maharagni Srimat Simhasaneshwari Chidagnikunda Sambhuta Devakarya Samudhyata. Udyadbhanu is that rising sun. Sahasrabha. So like that he is Sarva Bhava Udbhava, which means he rises in and through everything. Because only when he rises, we are able to rise. Only when Surya Bhagavan rises, we can rise. It is said, Surya Bhagavan வந்து காணா போனார்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. இப்போ டப்புன்னு 8 நிமிஷத்துல உலகத்துக்கு வெளிச்சம் போயிடுது. We will start, the whole world will start dismantling. The earth, the world that we know as, it will start breaking down. So the sun's not there. If the sun rising is not there, life cannot sustain or exist. Sarva bhava udbhava. Bhava has a couple of meanings, right? Bhava means here, now. Bhava means the present. Bhava means this world. Bhava means the samsara. Bhava means the samsara that we know as the life that we're living in. That is bhava. Bhava also means the all beings that are there. The beings that are existing here is also bhava. So sarva bhava udbhava, sarva bhavodbhavaya namaha. Next verse, so we've seen verse 14. Om Atapine Namaha, Om Mandaline Namaha, Om Mrityave Namaha, Om Pingalaya Namaha, Om Sarvatapana Namaha, Om Kavaye Namaha, Om Vishwasmai Namaha, Om Mahatejase Namaha, Om Rattaya Namaha, Om Sarva Bhavodbhavaya Namaha. Next, 15. Om Nakshatra Grahataranam Adhipo Vishwabhavanah Tejasamapi Tejasvi Dvadashatman Namostute. So he is the Lord of all stars, Surya Bhagavan. He is the biggest star, at least in our solar system. He is the biggest star. Right? Nakshatra Grahataranam Adhipa. Adhipaha. He is the Lord. Vishwabhavanaha. Tejasamapi Tejasvi Dvadashatman Namostute. Nakshatra Grahataranam Adhipaya Namaha. Nakshatra Grahatara. So all cosmic what do you call them? All cosmic bodies or all constellations, celestial bodies. Correct. Constellations, celestial bodies, all celestial bodies or stellar bodies, whatever these nakshatra, graha, tara, planets, novas, supernovas, all of that exist. He's saying he is the Adhipa, Adhipati. Adhipati is the Lord.
That's what when I chant this, I get a feeling that so long all the stars, darkness was there, the stars are very bright. The moment sun rises, the nakshatra ghatarana, like just like darkness, stars also vanish when the sun lord comes.
Very nice. Beautiful. Correct. Correct. That's a nice visualization. So அவர் இல்லாத போது எல்லாம் தக தகன்னு குதிச்சுட்டு இருக்கா, அவர் வந்த உடனே எல்லாம் அடங்கி போயிடுறா. So, and he doesn't do it with the intention of doing that. It's just naturally by his presence, the others become less prominent, right? And it's a natural phenomenon. See, these are very important things generally to remember is also that when we are on the spiritual path, it's very easy for us to make ourselves feel that I am holier than you. Right? It's very easy because I am always reminded of Baba movie la Rajnikant oda Delhi Ganesh varuva. Avaru solluvar, நானும் காளிகாம்பா கோவிலுக்கு 40 வருஷமா போறேன், தினம் குளிக்கிறேன், 40 வருஷமா கோவிலுக்கு போயிட்டு இருக்கேன், எனக்கு எதுக்கும் நடக்கலையே. It's happening for Baba, nothing has happened for me. So this is something that we also go into, where we think that we are so when we say this, it's a beautiful thing when somebody sees that by my presence there are other things are becoming duller and dimmer. That is not something that we're working towards also. We are not trying to be in a state where, okay, when I go, everybody should respect me. When I go, I am the most spiritual person around. When I go, I do so much of puja, tarpana, yagyam, this thing, and I should. Durvasar pora edathula appadithaan irukuma. Whenever Durvasa goes, if he is not treated well, immediately or saapam koduthuvaran. So I have come, you have not seen me. So the important thing is spirituality is about dissolving. We need to remind ourselves constantly. It is about dissolving ourselves. If we happen to stand out, we go someplace, we happen to stand out, that is what is mentioned here, right? Nakshatra graha taranam adhipaha. You are not wanting to be the ruler. You are wanting to dissolve your personality. But like Krishna told Arjuna, that only when you become small, great things can happen through you. So now, if I become small and I'm trying to see why are great things not happening through me, then I've lost the whole point. நமக்கு எப்பவுமே அதானே, இட்ஸ் வெரி ஆல்வேஸ் கான்ட்ரடிக்டிங் அண்ட் பாரடாக்சிக்கல். இங்க எப்படின்னா, நீ கடவுள்கிட்ட எதுவுமே கேட்காதப்பா, அவரா எல்லாமே கொடுப்பார் அப்படின்னா, சரி நான் எதுவுமே கேட்கல, ஆனா எனக்கு எதுவுமே கிடைக்கலையே. சோ நீ எதுவுமே கேட்காம இருக்கிற பர்பஸ் என்ன? எனக்கு எல்லாமே வேணுங்கிறதுனால நான் எதுவுமே கேட்காம இருப்பேன். So it's a mind play. The main intention is not that I want to get everything. The main intention is I'm dissolving myself. May whatever happen, whatever needs to happen, may it happen. And then for such people, others will see, wow, so many things are happening. And we'll also feel blessed that yes, things are happening, whatever needs to happen. ஏதோ நடக்கிறது, நல்லது நடக்கிறது அப்படின்னு இருப்போம். Or see, this person who's dissolving himself will never stand up to say great things have happened through me. Because I've dissolved myself, great things have happened. They will not say. Because I've surrendered to Lord, I'm getting everything. That person will not say. Because I am like Surya, all you guys are like Nakshatra Graha Tara. That individual will never come and say that. Right? So the important thing is, it will appear like that. It will appear like that. When we put ourselves in that kind of in a form of sadhana and tapas and all that, we burn from the inside. Then when we go in that presence, it will appear as though everything else is smaller. In fact, the other beautiful way also to look at this is, in the presence of the Atma, in the presence of the soul, in the presence of that presence that we're talking about, that entity, that principle, everything else is smaller. Correct? Everything else is in comparison. In fact, somebody asked a realized saint, how does it taste? How does it feel to be realized? What is the taste of it? He says, imagine. Then he asks him, student, have you had a mango? He says, do you like a mango? He says, yes. He says, I love mangoes. I say, okay, how do you feel when you eat a mango? I feel so great. When it's a good ripe mango and sweet mango, I feel so great. And he says, imagine that sweetness multiplied by 1,000 times. Oh, I mean, the feeling of joy that you get, multiply that by 1,000 times. Then from that point, you think that beyond that, I can't even imagine. That is the spiritual bliss. So he tries to explain it with what we know. So the joy of experiencing spiritual bliss is so much more than what you would experience in your so for such a person who's in this spiritual bliss, these things will feel smaller. Correct? The joys of the body, the joys of the senses will feel smaller to this individual. So because inside he is shining like the sun. He's shining like the sun. It's actually very beautiful, Mama, the way you showed that comparison. It's really nice. The way when you shine like the sun.
The comparison kuda எனக்கு என்ன ஒரு ஃபீலிங் வரும்னா, see, all those stars are all still there.
They are not gone.
When he comes, they are not gone. Gently when he comes, they become invisible. Just like இப்ப நீ அதான் தோன்றுது, இந்த ஆத்மனை நினைக்கும் போது, gently when you feel that Atman, the existence of body is gone, just like the stars are gone, but they're still there. Same way body is there, but you get that experience that it is not there.
Super. Absolutely. Absolutely. So the mind dissolves, the body dissolves, the personality dissolves, identity dissolves, thoughts dissolve, emotion dissolves, everything dissolves in that presence. And it's not doing anything. All you're doing is you're bringing that gavanam. You're just allowing it to udbhava. You're allowing it to rise within you. When you allow it to rise, and suddenly we'll feel that all the others are becoming smaller in its intensity of influence on you. So it's the same thing as what happens to the Surya, what happens to the nakshatras and the other things. Surya comes, their intensity is so diminished. They continue to be there, but their influence and their intensity is diminished. The same way when the Surya Atma Surya, when we focus on that, when we bring our minds to that, and when we bring our attention to that and we say, this is what I am this burning sun inside me, this is all that I am, then the intensity or the influence of the body, the mind, the emotions, any thoughts, all of that will dissolve. Dissolve means it'll not have any more influence on you, who you are. So then we will shine resplendent like the sun. Correct. And it takes nothing. All it takes is just for us to sit and then bring that attention there. Just turn that attention inwards and just be in that. And when we are there, you will notice that in fact we can drop all identity. We can just drop my name, my position, my society, whatever image that I carry, my possessions, my thoughts, my relatives, my relationships, the people that I know, everything, my past, my aspirations, my desires, so all of this you bundle. These are all the taras. These are all like the twinkling stars. And then we bring our attention to that Atma, then suddenly all of this become subdued. Whether they're twinkling or not, we don't even know whether they're twinkling. They may be twinkling, but they've gone into complete oblivion because of this Atma. Right? Very nice. Beautiful. I think this Nama turns out to be very beautiful. So, Nakshatra Grihataranam Adhipaya Namaha. So, in the direct sense, he appears as this grand Lord that is holding everything together in the cosmos, because the whole solar system, particularly, is dependent on the sun. The whole solar system, right? So he is holding it together. In the same way, the inner self, the Atma, the principle that is in us, is holding this whole solar system together. Right? It is the one that's holding it together. It is the one that is giving ego its strength. It is the one that's giving body its ability. It is one that is giving power to the thoughts. It is the one. But when you go to that source, when you go to that source, all these things dissolve. All these things don't hold sway. It is like a black hole. In the surround of a black hole, you will see things are happening. But when you go into the black hole, everything is gone. It's absorbed. In the same way, in this light of the self that we have, in that presence, everything, the influence of everything else is diminished. Actually, it is a very beautiful meditation technique also. When we bring our minds here, and establish our minds and thoughts here, mind in that, pay that attention. We went to Kashi. We saw the bodies burning. Right? We sit there and we visualize that whole burning thing happening here. We just visualize that whole thing is burning from here. and that burning is happening, nothing will stay in that fire. Nothing can stay in that fire. Everything else will burn away. Who are you? Who am I? Nothing. There's no definition there. There is only that presence, that burn, that flame. Nothing else is there. Right? Then when you come out of that, and we will feel a glow. Whether somebody sees it or not, adu mukyam illa. we will feel a beautiful glow within us. Right? So lovely. So we saw Om Nakshatra Graha Taranam Adhipaya Namaha. Okay. The pause பண்ணிக்கலாம். Om Ayena Vacha Manasendriyeva Buddhyatmana Va Prakate Subhavat Romi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayeti Samarpayami Sadashivayeti Samarpayami Jagadambikayeti Samarpayami Sadguru Nathayeti Samarpayami Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namaha.